So, Space Marine 2, huh? By golly, I've been playing a lot of that game. It's totally not the reason I haven't been uploading frequently or anything. Well, I would say that the multiplayer is okay, but has nothing truly special to keep me coming back to it, and the campaign is amazing in its own right. Especially when you're a Warhammer 40k fan.
Smells like pee-pee and poo-poo.
I would have to say that the Operations game mode is the one I see myself returning to play the most. Operations is a 3-person player versus environment game mode, where you and your boys get to go into a Thunderhawk and go do some shenanigans. There's a bit more than just playing 3 baseline Space Marines though. There are classes and upgrades and leveling that allow for replayability, with some grinding mechanics for those that appreciate the grind. There are a total of 7 operations in the game as of the making of this video, with more on the way, but some of them are, well, let's just say, leave you wanting compared to others. Some are straight up just better than others, and in this video we're going to go over all of the operations of the game, worst to best, and putting them in a tier list, because why not? It's fun to organize stuff. Oh yeah, and if you guys like this video, you should give it some love by liking and subscribing. It helps me out a lot and shows me what you guys want to see more of and are interested in it. Also, this is an opinion-based video. If you don't agree with my opinion, get mad at me in the comments and tell me about it. I'm always open for discussion. With that, onto the list. Have you ever gone through something so distasteful that you find it hard to go back to? Like the particularly horrid sensations of grape-flavored medicine making it so you can't eat grape-flavored jelly? Space Marine's version of that is Reliquary.
The Thousand Suns erected a warp beacon on Demerium. It is calling every warp fiend in the Immaterium to join the fight. The enemy seek to capture Project Aurora. We must not let them.
And it's so disappointing. So much of a slow, agonizing trek that I get an impending sense of dread whenever I get into the mission. The intro and going through the burial site work just fine as the start of a mission, plus you get to see a Titan. Hi there, you. Then, everything takes a nosedive in quality as soon as you go see this big blue dragon demon engine. The Helldrake makes the rest of the mission feel unbearable. The run up to the inside of the spire is a slog and trudge to go through, with the pockets of safety being too far from one another. All while the Thousand Suns found in this mission sit in the fire like it's nothing, because they're hypocrites, making me jealous of their immunity to the flying beast above. With the bridge being the main ender runs in this mission, because the Helldrake's breath attacks become the obstacle that leaves you frustrated with no way to exactly stop it except push forward.
Does this work? No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
This also has to do with the ending segment of the Operation 2, the boss fight with the Helldrake. For how cool it looked dipping in and out of the sky is really boring. Having it perch up on a rock and breathe flames on you, all while you have to do some Destiny Strike puzzle, where you match images together, and then get a damage phase where you can't even participate in it if you're a melee-based class. Because apparently, that's great boss design and how it should be done. You put a giant sorcerer, dragon, demon engine in your game, and when we get to fight it, it does nothing and sleeps on top of a spire while breathing hot breath at us? You could have made the relic something that could be picked up, a sword to pin it down to the ground, or something, and anything really. But you didn't, and it isn't, and it's just sad. It's underwhelming and frustrating and leaves you with a bad payoff that you don't even truly get to feel any sort of satisfaction in defeating the Helldrake with. For this, I put this stinky no-good homunculi of a mission in D tier. It's okay though, I'll still play it every once in a while once the pain subsides of the last time of me doing it, just not as a melee class, though. Now we're getting to the missions that I like and don't make me upset in a way that fills me with a slow, smoldering, stewing feeling of anger. Instead, now we got Fall of Atreus.
Our path to Aurora is barred by the Thousand Suns Silver Tower. We do not have any ordnance on Demerium that can destroy it. Our best available tactic requires an ancient battle barge at the Mechanicus compound that is undergoing restoration.
And the issue is that there's only really one bad part of the mission. Before that, you get to see a dreadnought that opens the door for you and banters with you like the true gentleman that it is. With
Thank you, Voltus. I love you. Ah, he's so cool.
there he goes. You meeting up with him a bit later on while he holds off the forces of chaos. The Contemptor Dreadnought is awesome no matter when it shows up in the game. Getting even a bit more screen time with it always is an amazing thing. With the holdout section, that is pretty fun. Solo, without the Dreadnought, where you have to flip 2 switches at a certain time to move something that's blocking the way. The final section of this mission is not the best. It's lackluster. This is because the arena itself is very open, and you have to spend multiple lifetimes pushing a cart and changing the rail lines, all while the Thousand Suns go and swarm you, making it so you have the smallest chance of actually succeeding while you get worn down by bolter fire, or Terminators that are spamming their rockets, or there could just be a Hellbrute that goes and ruins your day. And the final holdout, once you finally get the cart to its final destination, is boring with not much happening except for you having to wait a few seconds to hold out the Tzeentch worshippers that are coming after you. I'm going to have to give this mission a C tier for being pretty alright, but then having the issue of the final arena and the enemies found within it, because it's not that fun to play through with the limited amounts of cover you have. But hey, at least it has a Dreadnought in it.
Transmissions are not reaching the astropathic relay station. The source of the interference lies in heretic-occupied territory. Locate and destroy whatever is jamming our communications.
Vox Liberalis is the next on the list and is ahead of the previously mentioned operations for a couple of reasons. Chiefly is that this mission only has 1,000 Suns in it a portion of the time. Here's a little secret about the 1,000 Suns that is universal in every game they have ever appeared in, even in the real-life tabletop. The 1,000 Suns feel like trash to fight against. I find that the reaction-based system used in the game that relies on dodging and parrying, that feels so good and responsive, really starts to suffer when the secondary enemy of the game isn't responsive towards parries and is mainly focused on range, even when you're right in front of them, slapping them up, making it so the more melee-centric classes fall short compared to the ones that can poke the 1,000 Suns out from range. Unlike the Tyranids, who are fun no matter what or who you play, the Tyranids are a fast, fun, and kinetic enemy that feel catered towards the game's experience. So much more time is put into the Tyranids with their enemy variety, differing executions, and while also having more Extremis and Terminus units that allow for more variance in combat encounters. All while you don't have to deal with Zangors with shields that don't reward the executions of larger enemies because they stick around even after you dispatch Rubric Marines, where the Gaunts have their heads pop off because of synaptic feedback. Seriously, the Tyranids are ever-adapting Maw that have also adapted to be the most fun enemies to fight in this game, and maybe one of the most fun enemies I've fought in any game ever. While the mission itself isn't exactly the most spectacular or filled with a bunch of things of awe, there's something I really like about Vox Liberalis is it's really fast to speedrun, making it perfect to run through when you want to get levels fast. You can get this mission done in about 10 minutes flat, being an unparalleled resource for grinding, making it so it gets put in C tier for how it helped me grind for levels. And plus, just because it's good and the Demon Host fight is fun. Nothing exactly special.
Your mission is to use the stored Promethium in the refinery to destroy the enemy swarm. The Cadians were tasked with providing assistance, but we have since lost contact.
Inferno was the first and introductory mission of the Operations game mode, being the mission that was shown the most before the game came out, which is great because this mission is not complicated and it introduces a few interesting parts of it for side objectives, including searching for codes from the Imperial camp, the holdout next to the generators, and the final holdout in the Promethium fields. All of them introduce very simple objectives or things that you can do that make it so the game is more than just clearing out areas and moving on. The final area is a particularly fun one to hold your ground on. Part of it has to be the presentation and the setup of the entire mission, with it all being about igniting these Promethium fields and cutting off a swarm of Tyranids.
Hey, Freelance, you know what I think?
What?
Come over here. See that? See that up there? Me when Zoan thick.
When you get to see the swarm and how numerous it gives you a sense of scale of the Warhammer 40k universe. Plus, the trap at the front of the arena that can be ignited to fend off some of the swarm is pretty darn cool. And I wish more traps like these could have shown up in more missions, allowing for the player to get an advantage through knowing where these traps are and how to break up some enemy hordes. There are a few red explosive canisters that can be found in other operations. Plus, the fire and explosion at the end of the mission is really pretty. Wow. Look at that. And the Tyranid's still running into it. How cool. B tier.
Lieutenant Titus predicts the Tyranid's hive tyrant is leading a swarm along a corridor toward the astropathic relay. We are inserting you near a bridge held by the Imperial Guard that intersects with its path.
Capitation is a frickin' sweet mission that overshadows a whole campaign mission where the gang has to go clear out a frickin' hive tyrant. The idea of a 3-man Space Marine strike team going out and fighting a larger-than-life creature that is already larger-than-life than the Space Marines is the right amount of outrageous that I love, that characterizes Warhammer 40k. And the arenas you get through the mission are all pretty great, except for arming the explosives on one of the bridge supports that makes a lackluster arena. That feels artificially difficult.
I don't like this.
The Hive Tyrant will reach your position shortly.
What?
Things are going too smoothly.
Guard defenses are
Okay,
No.
yeah.
lure that Xenos Colossus into the kill zone.
I was correct in my assumptions. It was going too smoothly.
The arena after this, with the Hive Tyrant showing its beautiful face for the first time and getting squished by a big snow Mechanicus, is a personal highlight, though. Hunting down the Hive Tyrant after you do squish it with that giant sculpture is quite fun, too. Seeing it stalking through the facility with pieces of rebar sticking out of it, as you see it's lost multiple limbs and trying to crawl away from you like a wounded animal that it is, until it finally corners itself. Because the Hive Tyrant itself is well done and incredibly fun to fight against. Makes you feel like you're fighting against something that you're woefully outclassed by, but can win against if you know how to dodge and parry correctly against its many attacks. It towers over everyone and has multiple stages and a complete fake-out ending that goes into a more difficult fight. A tier for this mission. That feels like it should have been part of the main campaign. You ever play a game and wish there was more limited visibility and miniature objectives to go through? You don't? Well, this mission does it pretty well anyways.
Scans show the Tyranid numbers growing exponentially within the Hive City.
Ballistics Engine takes place in a completely unique environment compared to the rest of the game, outside of a sandblasted Hive City. In a train yard, your mission is to take some high-yield ordnance and blow apart a Hive City from the inside out by sending a train into it. This mission gives us some unique things to deal with, like rolling sandstorms, or boobs as they are called some places, to deal with these in some outside sections where visibility becomes limited, with the Tyranids rushing at you as silhouettes only to be revealed when they come closer to you. They force you to think a little bit more about how you're going to move forward or if you're going to stay in place. The section inside where you're getting the nuke is quite fun too, being in a little miniature puzzle where you have to activate a certain console that has a certain letter and number that sometimes doesn't trigger and is easy to get past. The final section of the mission is also a different type of holdout where you have to go and defend a train and also go in and out of different areas in this one giant arena that allow you to become antiquated with the whole area. There's also a train trap similar to the flame trap found in Inferno that's fun because, well, it's a fast train going through Tyranids. How could you not like that? And the big boom at the end is really good too. A tier. Reminds me what it feels like to go outside in an Arizona in summer.
The Tyranids have already established their capillary towers. They mean to harvest this planet's biomass. They will take Kadaku, but we will make them pay for it. Those towers, they're Biotitan. Find a way to bring them both down. Trap them in their own filth.
Termination is the newest and best operation added to the game, and let me tell you, they cooked with this one. It's particularly weird to say, but this mission is... The amount of enemy spawns mixed with the tight confined areas and wide open spaces make it so every combat encounter feels different and unique, with each arena and area having its own personality, all while keeping things similar to the rest of Kadaku, while also having it being insanely different at the same time because we're getting towards the end of the Tyranid invasion of Kadaku. The section inside of the bunker where you have to clean some biomass up all while waves of Tyranids bury you is really hard, with this being the run ender because of all of them running up and around you while you need to be running around the facility while bites are taken out of you.
What are you doing now?
Tyranids thrive. Understood and agreed.
Leave him alone. He's just a little fella. He's just a little guy.
Not to mention all the unique environments and sites that culminate in the final battle with the Biotitan. The higher front Biotitan is a giant fight with a large enemy done right, unlike the one against the Helldrake. That's right, we went full circle because I hate that Helldrake fight so much, and the Hierophant Biotitan is a spectacle fight done right, being probably the best boss fight in the entire game. Hierophant Biotitan sits at range and bursts you down if you're not cognizant of its volleys, being dangerous even though it's not exactly in the arena chasing you down. The way you damage the Titan with the cannon array is quite fun and allows for multiple different playthroughs to be different, because if you're using the cannon array, you're just trying to sit in place and make sure you can get the Titan, while everyone else is protecting you from the waves and waves of Tyranids coming after you. Instead of doing a picture-matching mini-game, the Biotitan also does things like cloud itself in gas and shows up a little bit throughout the start and right before you fight it, making it feel like a real moving threat. This operation really has to be played to be believed because of the scale of being small, even as a Space Marine, against this gianter and larger-than-life threat, making it the best operation in the game. Open to see more operations like this come out for Space Marine 2 in the future, S tier. And that's the list and the rankings. Tell me what you guys feel about my list and rankings in the comments down below, and share your own opinions too. I'd love to have some more discussion about this. Space Marine 2 is probably my favorite game right now. And Darktide's getting me back in its grubby little grasp too, so tell me if you want to see more of that. That's all I got for this video. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps me and this video out a lot. Till next video, fellas.